Hey BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner, and I am taking advantage of this time where I have my room back temporarily, because, the guy doesn't want to work on weekends, which is understandable, and going to film some videos. Okay, so first, I gotta do this first because I do want to eat some lunch, so first I'm going to do the Christmas Carol book tag created by Lauren Wade. She's a British booktuber. So you know how this works? So here goes. Okay, so question number 1. The Ghost of Christmas Past. A book that was a childhood favorite. Now, I struggled with this one because I don't have a lot of my childhood favorites. And I don't want to use the same ones over and over again. Which my usually go-to for childhood favorites is like the Velveteen Rabbit or Harry Potter, but I didn't want to use those again for like the 100th time. I was gonna say Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, but I don't have a copy of the book, and I still don't know how to do that thing where you show a picture on the screen. And again, as I said before, in case anyone ever one day says something to me about that, I don't have the patience to figure that out. I need someone who's good with this kind of stuff. I know maybe a bit more than my parents about this, but not as much as everyone would think I would, because I'm not a techie person. But that's one. I don't remember the author's name, but it's a little sing-songy, rhymey book about all the little baby alphabet letters are trying to get up into this coconut tree, but then they all fall off the tree, and their mommies and daddies have to come fix them up again. And it's one that my cousin, I introduced Harrison to as well, but I couldn't find ours. Usually we keep them in the room where my sister and her family sleep whenever they come to visit us. But I didn't see it for some reason. And I don't think we would have given it to them because he has his own copy. So I was going to say that one, but then I decided to go in and it was kind of a cheat. Because this is a book that I didn't read the actual physical book until many years later when I was either an adult or a teenager. I don't remember when I first read it. I think I was in my late teens. But I'm including it because it's always kind of been a part of my childhood. So I'm gonna say The Wizard of Oz, and I do have a regular paperback edition, but I want to show this one because it has the whole series, and I like showing off this edition because it's so pretty. But this has always been a part of my life. I've had the movie. I have the DVD movie special edition. Not that big box one. You know how some special classic movies come in the big box with all the stuff, like old documents connected to the movie. Like I've Sound of Music and Gone with the Wind, with like a music box, like scripts and stuff like that. They're really cool, actually. But I don't have one for Wizard of Oz. I would have loved to have one for Wizard of Oz, but I already had a copy of the movie. Although I had a copy of Sound of Music at the time when I got that one. But then I ended up years later giving it to my sister because I already had a copy. Although that one had an interview from the cast, but it was also an used copy. But my dad was in the play version in our community theater. He was Professor Marvel. He was the wizard. Basically, he did what Frank Morgan did, where he played all these different parts in the movie. In the movie, my dad played not just the wizard, but the carriage driver, the guy at the door who was like, "Who rang that bell?" and Professor Marvel, which I think they did on purpose because I think they were saying that the character reminded her of Professor Marvel. So it's been a part of my life for a long time. I'm sure it's been a part of a lot of people's lives. And then years later, I read a paperback edition, and then I found out about this edition, so I bought it. And they also have a volume 2, and I don't know if they go beyond volume 3. It depends on how many novels did Frank L. Baum write. But I just edition. I just haven't bothered to ask for the other volume because I haven't read beyond the original, the second novel. Like, in fact, I haven't even finished reading the second novel, which is the Marvelous Land of Oz. Okay, so question number 2. The Ghost of Christmas Present. A recent book that you think will become one of your all-time favorites. And this is a hard question. So, because there's a lot of, I never really think about, like, is this gonna be my favorite book? I just think, oh, I want to read this book. Am I gonna buy it, or am I gonna get it look for it at the library? The problem is, a lot of times when it's a new book, I end up being very tempted, unless it's a book I'm just not as interested in. If it's a book I'm really excited about, then I end up deciding, okay, I'm gonna look for it at the library, or there's a little bookshop in this town, the next town over, because like it's a small library, and again, it's a small library, and but I did look for The Silent Patient the other day at my library, but then of course there was a list because, surprise, surprise, a lot of the people in this town wanted to read that one. I shouldn't have been surprised because, like, I feel like the people that live here, the population that lives in this little town, I could see them being the type that would be interested in something like that. I hope that doesn't seem all, of course, why am I saying this now when I always make comments about the fact that this town is full of people that I could see being interested in romance and thrillers and stuff like that. But I feel like sometimes those kinds of people make those comments because they're partly true at times. So the librarian, Miss Terry, was like, I could put you on the list, but then I'm not that interested in the book. I'm interested, but I can wait until, the popularity dies down, wait for a few years, and then I would check it out. Because, like I said, it's not my all-time favorite genre. I'm intrigued by the genre, but just not my number one. So, when I ended up choosing, I decided to go with an old book, I use the word vintage book. It's an older book, or a vintage book, classic, whatever you want to call it. And a new book. I couldn't decide between, I decided to pick a classic and then, so I decided to pick one like this and then a newer book. But I figure, I'm already in the middle of this book anyway, so I'll just go ahead and pick it. And I decided to go ahead and say Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, which is funny because I kind of, was, not gotten to finally, lost interest in the Three Musketeers. And I ended up getting rid of it, although a small part of me regrets that. A small part of me is like, well, maybe I would have liked it. But I almost would rather watch a movie version. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to introduce my nephews to that. I'm not going to not introduce them to it too one day, because maybe they'll like it. But I'm still in the middle of this, and what I'm going to do, I think, is bring it with me when we go to stay with my grandma for Christmas. Because I need to get this done, and I don't want it to fall on the wayside. I don't want it to be one of those books I never finish, or take years and years to finish. I'm not, again, my only excuse is that for years I read YA, so I wasn't used to a book this length. Look at this sucker. It's huge. It's a brick. You could hurt someone with it. Well, I think if this was a hardback version, then you could hurt someone more with a hardback edition of this. But unless you hit really, really hard. But the way, especially when I'm watching Jennifer Brooks's videos when she talks about this book, and I just need to, I want to finish it, and I think I'm hoping I'll absolutely love it. I am loving it, and I think I made this was better timing than when I tried to read it the first time, because I'm more interested and more used to this kind of writing. Because, look how far I got this time. And I felt like, every time I heard Jennifer talk about this book, I always felt guilty that I hadn't finished it yet. and I've taken a long break, and I don't think I'm even at a halfway point. But then, Emily Fox, she mentioned that she didn't finish it yet, so that made me feel a lot better about it. But yeah, I picked this one. It was either this one, or I was tempted to pick like either War and Peace or The Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, not this is The Count of Monte Cristo, or Don Quixote. Or, as you can see, I'm trying to, I'm sticking with classics. Or, there are so many classical, and God, that I feel like I would like to believe they all could potentially be favorites. Also, there's another, well, I'll mention that on here later when I get to the question that I'm using that for an answer for. But there's another book that I'm already using for a different question that I feel like would also potentially become a favorite too, but I don't want to say that one for 2 questions. I'm trying to avoid that. But I will bring that one up in a little bit. And then I also decided to go ahead and include this one as a potential favorite. Gods of Jade and Shadow. It's a new, it's one that just came out, I think, this year. Which, yeah, I guess because it's a hardback edition. Well, and the hardback ones in America come out first. I've heard a lot about this. It looks at mythology, there's a lot of mythology and history mixed in it. The premise sounds awesome. It kind of starts as a Cinderella story. With the whole girl being raised by a stepfamily who make her into a kind of servant. And then she accidentally releases a god, and this god guy is trying to search for his brother to get revenge on him. But when she releases him, she inadvertently connected herself to him. So now she's like connected, she has to go with him on his search. And then I believe what's going to happen is that he's going to spend this time with her and he's going to become more and more human. But I think he's going to drain her life force or something. Something along I heard something like that. So the more he becomes human, the less she's eventually going to like lose herself. And it has a romance in it, as it's a romance between her and the god happens. But it just sounds such a cool premise, and I think I'm gonna love it. And like I said, the thing is, I'm a very easy to please person. I mean, there are genres I don't read that often. Like, I don't like crime dramas unless it's like fantasy crime. Then I might make an exception. I don't. As I've said this a million times before, non-romance reader. I like romance in my stories, but I won't read a straight up romance. And now, that doesn't mean that I didn't read romance before when I was a teenager. But then people's tastes do change. And then I don't like books that are mostly focused on the war itself. Although I almost made an exception because when I was looking for books for a Christmas present for I think it's safe to say, for my dad, because he doesn't watch, I hope. He does. He's not totally exempt from YouTube, but he mostly focuses on things that he's interested in. So I don't know if he'll ever come across my video. But I think it's safe to say that I was looking for some books for him for Christmas, and I did see a book in the nonfiction area called Flags of Our Fathers, and I think there was a movie, and I think I've seen the artwork, and it's kind of like the history and the background behind that piece of art. It's like the story behind it. I almost bought that and thinking, no, I might be interested in it. And there's been, like, this past couple years, I've checked out books, but then they end up just getting boring. They're just boring to me. Okay, so that was question number. Wow, I'm only on question number 2. So question number 3, the book, The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. A very scary ghost. A book out next year that you're most excited about. So I made sure to be prepared this time, and I wrote down a whole bunch of books that are coming out that I heard. Well, not a whole bunch, but a lot that are coming out this year. There's only a couple of them that I'm actually really excited about. But there are some of them on here that I'm interested in, like House of Earth and Blood. That's her new Sarah J. Maas's new adult series, the first book. I'm kind of not. I don't know, because I'm kind of starting to move on from Sarah J. Maas. But I still want to. But that does not mean I'm still not going to read the rest of the ACOTAR series, because I know she's writing more books in that world. I'm still interested because I'm already invested in that world anyway. So I just don't know if I want to invest in another one of her worlds that she's created. Jane of Gold. I'm more interested in that one. That is a Cassandra Clare book. It's her new series or trilogy. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or series, because the last one was a trilogy, but then she intended originally for the Mortal Instruments to be a trilogy, but then it became 6 books. Although mostly so far she's only, other than that series, all of her books I think have been trilogies. All of her series have been trilogies, and then there is a bunch of standalones. But yeah, I'm still excited because I want to get back into her, and luckily finally finished this year. I finally finished the Bane Chronicles and Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. I finished that, so I can finally start Lady Midnight, because they have said that there is a reference to there's a connection between Lady Midnight and that whole trilogy and Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. There is a small connection with one of the stories. So I was, so I don't know if necessarily it would be better to read it first or not. I think people did say you should. But I don't know. I haven't read Lady Midnight yet to really determine if I agree with it or not. Because I feel like sometimes you can get away with reading a book and then the book that came before that references to that one. I think you can get away with. There are some cases where you can get away with reading that later, especially like things like prequels and stuff. But I'm definitely more excited about that than Sarah J. Maas's new series. I also said The Glass Hotel. I really loved Emily St. John Mandel's Station 11. I thought that was really great. Not enough to keep it, but I still really enjoyed it. So I definitely am interested in her new book, The Glass Hotel. I don't know anything about it. None of these did I write. I didn't write the dates when they come out. Empire of the Vampire, Jade Kristoff. Another one that I'm kind of interested in, although I have moved on from the vampire thing. But I don't know, maybe Jade Kristoff. I like his writing. I liked Nevernight. I still haven't read the second one, so I don't know, maybe. So that one's, I don't know, I might just get it from the library if I'm still interested by the time it comes out. Okay, so I remember loving, so this next one is a new one by Suzanne Collins, also set in the Hunger Games world. It's, I guess in a way it's a prequel. Which is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I believe it's with Mags' generation. So I'm definitely excited about that one. Again, and then The Night Country by Melissa Albert. And these last two are the two I'm most excited. The Night Country is a sequel to the Hazelwood. And these last two are the first ones that came to my mind when I was thinking about this question. So I want that one, and then Hollowpox. I've not read the second book to the Morgan Crow series. I don't know what it's called, Nevermore, because Nevermore is not even in the second book's title. But I think it's that thing that authors do that really bugs me, where they just basically name the series after the first book. Now, luckily, Song of Ice and Fire series is not named after the first one, but the TV series was. But I think that's because Game of Thrones rolled off better on the tongue, and it's easier to say than Song of Ice and Fire. Like, if it was a TV show, if it was going to be a movie, then yeah, I think they keep. But since it became a TV show, I think it was just probably easier to just call it Game of Thrones. But I'm glad that he didn't name the whole book series after that. And then, so Hollowpox is the third book in the Morgan Crow series that I want to read. So those two are I'm the most excited. So the ones on that I've wrote down here are The Night Country, Hollowpox, Chain of Gold, The Glass Hotel. Oh, and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Those are the ones I'm most excited about. Some of the other ones I wrote down are more like ones I'm kind of interested in, but I'm not sure if I'm that interested in them. Like I said, I will keep going with Sarah J. Maas's Actor series because I know she's writing more books in that world. Because I'm already invested in that universe anyway. It's a magnet. I can put this on a fridge. Oh, wait. No, it's not. I thought it was. Never mind. I thought that was a magnet. Okay, so question number 4. Oh, finally question number 4. Sorry, I was hoping this would take a lot, not as long, but you know me, I ramble. Okay, Bah Humbug. A book that everyone else loves that you just can't stand. And this was another one I struggled with because there's rarely been a book that I'm just like, I hate this book, I can't stand it. And the books that I have felt that way, because there have been a few, they're not popular anymore. There are people that like them, but I'm sure, but it's just they're not talked about. One of them, and then, or there's one that's just like, I'm pretty sure is not popular at all. I mean, the author's popular, but, the two I thought about are, and this is, I wouldn't say these are books I can't stand. They're books that I'm just not as crazy about as everyone else is. I like them, I was entertained by them, but I'm just not. And one of them, it's also the whole author that I'm not as excited about, but I will continue to read her books because I have a collector's edition of her novels. And that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I liked it, and I definitely it's still my favorite among her books so far that I've read, and it's only 3 books. But I've liked on-screen adaptations of her novels a little bit better than the actual physical novels. I don't know, I keep hearing about, how everyone loves Emma because everyone loves Emma's character, and she's a favorite of Austen's, was a favorite of Austen's, of all the characters she created. I'm wondering if I'll love that one. I can ask Larissa about that one, but she probably doesn't remember. But I remember she was reading that in the class that we met in. She was reading that for a project where we could pick our own books. I'm wondering if Emma or Lady Susan, I might really love that one. There's one more. What was the other one? I can't think. Crap. Mansfield Park. I'm hoping to love that one. Because I've heard a lot about that and how she's her. It feels like Fanny and Emma are the characters that create the most strong opinions in a negative way. Because people either can't stand Fanny and find her incredibly boring out of all Austen's heroines. And she was a passive character, and they look at her as a passive character. Passive means you're weak character. And then people don't like Emma because she's kind of a selfish brat. I could be wrong, but I think that's the impression I've gotten over the years. But I was just not, I enjoyed Pride and Prejudice, and again, it was, out of what I've read so far, it's the only one that I still like, that is a favorite. But it's just, I'm not oh my god, Jane Austen is the best, I love her. But that might also have to do with that I'm not as into romance in that sense. I don't like the genre, and it's very much romance. And it's also it's in the countryside of England, so there's not a lot going on. They don't do a lot of stuff. They just take walks and go to church go to parties, just dancing and, gossiping and stuff. There's not a lot going on in like a Jane Austen novel, at least in my opinion. At least not like, and then the other one was Melissa Albert's, not Melissa Albert, because I like Melissa Albert, I can't think of her name. But anyway, The Upside of Unrequited, and I can't think of the author's name. But this might have something to do with the fact that I'm just not a contemporary YA reader. I find it kind of like, don't come at me if you like her, if you like contemporary, like her, but I find YA contemporary kind of boring. Like, not a lot happens. I want a story that has a lot of action. I mean, I made exceptions to classics, but, and I'm nervous because, and I'm always, like, I'm nervous about getting into Trollope, because I'm worried that I'll come to realize I don't like him because I don't think a lot happens, but hopefully it will be more engaging than, like, a Jane Austen novel. But, like, if it has, like, political intrigue or machinations of people and families and family sagas and people trying to, then that might be a little, like, it has a little bit more of that, then yeah. I'm hoping that that is what will get me to do. But, anyway, I thought, like, The Upside of Unrequited was okay. Like, it was cute. But it was just kind of like, first of all, the main character in that one just irritated me. Her constant, like, insecurities drove me nuts. I mean, I know, this is coming from someone who's also shy and can be insecure. And I don't know if I thought I could relate to her, and maybe I still can, maybe I can, maybe I would be like her position, I mean, I hope not, because it just, her constantly trying to, like, her sister was pressuring her to go out with someone that she wasn't even sure she really liked, and she was rejecting the other cute, perfectly good guy that she had more of a connection with because, he doesn't fit the criteria, and I should be a serial dater, I need to date more than one guy before I settle on the one guy, which I don't think there's anything wrong. If you want to date, okay, fine, but you don't have to. If there is a perfectly good, great guy that you have a strong connection with, and you're attracted to, then pursue that. Don't be like, I'm going to date this guy because I have to date more than one guy. I mean, I know parents will say, you may think you're in love, but how do you know? You need to go out with other people first. But this one was more like she was only doing it because she thought that's what she was supposed to do. And, I mean, even my friend Larissa, even my friend who, has similar problems as her physical appearance-wise to the main character in that one. Although my friend is not as shy. She's not socially awkward. But I feel like she kind of was like, didn't agree with what she was like, no, that's not how it would be. But then again, maybe it's just, that's not how she would be, but that's how the character was. It's just the main character, and then, like I said, I thought it was cute, but it just wasn't for me. Like, it was one I got from the library, I don't have an urge to buy it. I never read her other books, her other two books. I have no interest. Like I said, I'm not interested in YA contemporary. And I hate to say it, but it does go back to what my friend, my Terry's reason for not reading YA is because she was like, she can't relate to it. Well, I guess in a way, that's kind of my reason why I don't like YA contemporary. So, okay, final question number 5. Bob Cratchit. An old dependable that you always recommend. I don't have one because I personally do not like the idea of recommending books that I feel, because I don't know what people will like. I mean, I would love to recommend books to my friends, or my parents, but I don't know what they would be into. It's just very hard to recommend books. And I don't think I have a book that I would recommend that I've recommended to more than one person. So I don't have an answer for that one. Okay, so question number 6. Tiny Tim, an underhyped book that you think deserves more love. And, okay, so this is more like I picked an author that I think deserves more love. And this is the author's new book. And this is also the book, another book I was gonna pick for, another book I wanted to pick for question number 2, but like I said, I was already using this book for this question, or this author for this question. I was showing this book by this author because it's her newest book. And that is Kate Morton. This is her new book, The Clockmaker's Daughter. Although this is not the edition I wanted. Which, now, I'm caving into I kind of do consider covers, and, I definitely acknowledge beautiful covers. But I don't desperately have to buy them. I don't buy multiple copies of books just to have, like, a cover that I like. But there are covers that I was tempted to buy, but I waited and didn't buy it. But I absolutely love Kate Morton. She's such a beautiful writing style, very poetic, very lyrical. I mean, it is formulaic, and normally I don't like formulaic plots. But it's, like, it's not her books. She writes standalones too. So if you don't like standalones and you like historical fiction and a little bit of some mystery, because a lot of her books always there's some kind of mystery going on, not a detective story or anything like that, but more like a layman's person trying to understand the past and why things are the way they are, and trying to figure out they're always she, never been a guy. She's trying to understand what happened in the past and unravel, and a lot of times there's a connection between her and the past, like she knows a person that was connected to the events of the past, or she is connected to them without realizing it. I feel like I don't hear a lot of it, Kate Morton. I mean, I know, now granted, I feel like you could, with any author, you can look them up on Goodreads, not Goodreads, on YouTube, like look up a review of their books. But anyway, I feel like there's not a lot to talk about her as an author, and I feel like she's a great author and deserves more love. So I'm choosing author instead of book. And like I said, this was also one of the answers I was thinking about for question number 2, because I feel like, I always love Kate Morton's books. And I feel like this would become a potential favorite. But yeah, so Kate Morton, I feel like she's an underhyped author. Okay, question number 7. Today, why it's Christmas Day. That was my attempt at British. I could probably do a little bit better than that. But I don't want to insult any of the British booktubers on here in my horrible attempt. What's a book that always gets you in the mood for Christmas, apart from A Christmas Carol? And I do not have one because I don't read Christmas books that often. I do watch a lot of Christmas movies. So, movie-wise, Nightmare Before Christmas, which does not have a book. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But that one does have a book, but I don't read the book. And I don't have a copy of the book. I think we got rid of all our Dr. Seuss books. Christmas Carol, of course, but that can't be an answer. So, I don't read Christmas books, and I did read a book that I feel is a wintry kind of book. But I didn't, this is my first time reading it, so I don't know if I'll read it next year. I'm thinking about it, but, who knows what will happen next year, because I can't plan that far ahead, because when I do plan, that's why I'm struggling with doing a TBR, because, I'm excited, I want to do it, right now, but then I also know that when I plan ahead, I end up deciding, I don't want to do that anymore, I leave myself too much room to think about all the other books I want to read, or the books I've neglected that I need to read, or want to read. So I might come back to that around Christmas when we're down south visiting my grandma. I might think about that again, because it'll be closer to the end of the year and the starting of 2020. And another one that is an actual book, Miracle on 34th Street. But I don't read Christmassy type books, or books that make me think of Christmas. I just read fantasy whenever I want, or fantasy or whatever I want to read. Okay, so I don't have an answer for that one. Okay, The Muppet question number 8. The Muppet Christmas Carol, your favorite film adaptation of a book. Besides Muppet Christmas Carol, okay, well, if we're talking the Christmas Carol itself, I would say, a musical, a Christmas Carol musical, the musical, or a musical Christmas Carol. I can't remember what it's called, but it's starring Kelsey Grammer, as Scrooge, and, Jane Krakowski is the Ghost of Christmas Past. And what is his name from Rent? He's also did one of those cop series. I can't think of his name. He played Collins in Rent. He played Ghost of Christmas Present, which is the part my dad did. Okay, so I thought the Hunger Games adaptations were really great. They were very accurate. At least I think they were, but it's been a long time since I read the books. I can't think, because again, this is one I don't think about that often. You know, like, what are some adaptations? Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burns' adaptation of Sleepy Hollow was great. In fact, I liked it better than the book because it did so much more with the characters. It gave Katerina more of a role in the story, not just the girl that the guys are fighting over. I mean, and I even appreciate that Brom had a bigger role, and, or more of a role. Not that big of a role, but he was a little more, and Ichabod was a little more likable, and so he was also more likable in that TV series that came out a few years ago that was on Fox. I feel bad that I gave up on that series, but I loved it. It's just eventually and I don't want to, and I was kind of mad at myself for stopping watching it because I was so insistent that people not give up on it just because, oh, Abby's gone now. The other woman can't compare to Abby. But in the end, ironically, I gave up. I walked away from it. I stopped watching it after a while too. Oh, I liked Les Mis adaptation better than the book. I liked Dracula, the one with Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing, Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker. I do not know why they cast him in it. I mean, everyone else I was fine with, but why him? I mean, he's not a terrible actor, but it's just like, I can't think of it. Like I said, Sleepy Hollow. I've liked a few of the Jane Austen adaptations. It's a tie between actually the 2005 and 2011, and then I like the one in the 80s. In fact, that one was probably the closest to the book. It's just that it was in the 80s, so the quality wasn't that great, filmmaking quality, because it was in, again, 80s, early 80s in fact. But that one was probably the most accurate to the movie. I like the 2011 version because of the acting. And, you know, I almost, like, it doesn't bother me as... Hi, Terry. That one doesn't bother me, like, it doesn't bother me that it had to leave out a lot of stuff because I expect that to happen. Fortunately, Terry just messaged me, reminded me of that. That it leaves out a lot of stuff and she wishes there were more stuff. And I admit I got defensive about it because I really do like that version. But then I know that it left out a lot of stuff and it wasn't that great. It wasn't as fabulous. In the 2005 one, that one took a few little liberties, not a lot, but it took liberties as far as it got a little heated. I also like the guy who played. I like the two actors in it, Ruth Wilson and I don't remember the guy's name. I want to say Steven something. Which he actually was in Black Sails. I can't remember if I ever told Terry that or not. But the guy who played, what's his name? I can't think of his name. It just slipped my mind. I'm still kind of tired because I stayed up a little later than usual last night. Well, not usual. I mean, this is kind of becoming routine. And also, I've gotten back to the whole getting addicted to Facebook games. And even when I'm like, the game is driving me crazy and I'm annoyed it's not working out, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got to stop. I hate this game. Like, I freak out because I get so frustrated and annoyed that it's not working for me. And then, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, it's the good news. No one can hear me as long as I'm quiet enough, because apparently sometimes they can hear me because I'm right near the kitchen. But I was getting very frustrated. I would get frustrated and then I end up staying late because I'm trying to, okay, one more game. Oh, I have to complete this game. I have to get this many points. Okay, but that's off topic. Now, Rochester. I believe his name slipped my mind. Rochester. But I like the guy who played Rochester in that one. I liked, so far, the three that I mentioned, I liked all those Rochesters. The only time I didn't like the actor who played Rochester is, what the guy in the 1996 version, the guy who played him. No offense to the actor, but it was like, I just wasn't as big a fan. Like, he wasn't dark enough or broody enough. Okay, but anyway. Okay, so yeah, that's the tag. Okay, I'm done rambling and answering these questions. Of course, the last one is tagging people, but I don't really do that. So if you guys liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you enjoy your reading, and if you want to do this tag, feel free to do it. And I think it's a fun tag, but most tags I think are fun. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye!